Funding for the World Food Prize was provided by Friends of Iowa Public Television, the Iowa Public Television Foundation, and generations of families and friends who feel passionate about Iowa public television programming. Partial funding for the production of this program was provided by a grant from the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust. Each day, 800 million people in the world go hungry. Every 3.6 seconds, someone dies of starvation. Helping to feed those in need takes the perseverance of many. From delivering food aid to developing crops, demands science, technology, and leadership. Tonight, live from the Iowa Capitol in Des Moines, the 22nd Annual World Food Prize honors those who've contributed to improving the quality and availability of food.
We're live on the chamber of the Iowa House of Representatives, where dignitaries and other special guests from over 60 countries are seated. Good evening. I'm Lorenzo Sandoval, and in just a few moments, the World Food Prize Awards ceremony will begin. Now, this is a ceremony that founders liken to the Nobel Peace Prize. Only this award solely focuses on achievements made to alleviate hunger through science, agriculture, or humanitarian efforts. Now, before tonight's award is presented to two well-known former U.S. Senators, Robert Dole and George McGovern, there'll be a program that includes musical entertainment and tributes to many special guests. A formal start to the ceremony is signaled by the sounds of 6 herald trumpets, followed by the introduction and procession of dignitaries from around the world. The 6 trumpeters are all Central Iowa musicians who are music teachers or band directors in Central Iowa schools. The band directors are Steve Day, Scott Davis, Brett Lee, Jason Pentico, and Jim Bovinette.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2008 World Food Prize Laureate Awards Ceremony. At this time, please join us in welcoming past World Food Prize laureates.
Here tonight. Many of the past World Food Prize laureates are here tonight. They're from India, the U.S., Switzerland, China, Sierra Leone, and Brazil.
From India, the 2000 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. Surinder Vassal. From the United States, the 2002 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. Pedro Sanchez. From the United States, the 2003 World Food Prize laureate, the Honorable Catherine Bertini. From Sierra Leone, the 2004 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. Monty Jones. From the United States, the 2006 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. Colin McClung. From Brazil, the 2006 World Food Prize laureate, His Excellency Alison Paulinelli. From the United States, the 2007 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. Philip Nelson. Distinguished national and international guests, former Prime Minister of the Central African Republic, His Excellency Anicet Dolagele. Rwandan Minister of Education, Science, Technology and Research, Her Excellency Dafrosa Gahakwa. Former Vice President of Uganda, Her Excellency Sisiosa Wadira Kaziba. Secretary to Government of India, Ministry of Rural Development, Her Excellency Rita Sharma. Former President of Mozambique and member of the World Food Prize Council of Advisors, His Excellency Joaquim Chissano. United States Secretary of Agriculture, the Honorable Ed Schaefer. Representing the state of Iowa, the Minority Leader of the Iowa House, the Honorable Libby Jacobs. The President of the Iowa State Senate, the Honorable Jack Kibbe, and Minority Whip, the Honorable David Johnson. Representing the Iowa Congressional Delegation, Senator Tom Harkin. Congressman Leonard and Mrs. Boswell. Presiding at tonight's ceremony, the Lieutenant Governor of Iowa, the Honorable Patty Judge. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the First Lady of Iowa, Mary Culver. The World Food Prize Laureate Party, escorted by the chairman of the World Food Prize Foundation, John Ruan III, and the president of the World Food Prize, Ambassador Kenneth Quinn. Please welcome this evening's special guests of honor, the 2008 World Food Prize laureates, the Honorable Robert Dole and the Honorable George McGovern of the United States.
Senators Dole and McGovern are honored tonight for their international school feeding program and lifelong commitment to food security. Their program was first established in the U.S. in the year 2000. Since then, the program has fed more than 22 million children in 41 countries, including Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Eastern Europe. Even though Dole and McGovern led opposing political parties, they came together to reform the federal food stamp program and expanded the school lunch program. The two men actually have many things in common. They both served in the military during World War II, and both ran for their party's nomination for U.S. president. Both lost. Both served in both the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. And both are from the Midwest, Dole from Kansas and McGovern from South Dakota. The trumpets sound for the final time, and then there will be a short video on the history of the World Food Prize.
For centuries, hunger, malnutrition, and misery have plagued our world. Even today, over 800 million people, nearly 1 of every 8 on Earth, do not get the food they need. As global population grows at a staggering rate, the battle against hunger struggles to keep up. It was a singular dedication to feeding this ever-expanding world that led to Dr. Norman E. Borlaug's vision of creating the World Food Prize. Born on a small Iowa farm in 1914, Dr. Borlaug's pioneering work to produce higher-yielding strains of wheat ushered in the Green Revolution, preventing large-scale famine and earning him the title of the man who has saved more lives than any other person who has ever lived. Shortly after receiving the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970, Dr. Borlaug embarked on a mission to recognize and inspire those individuals who lead the fight against world hunger. And in 1986, the World Food Prize was born. The first World Food Prize was awarded in 1987 to Dr. M.S. Swaminathan of India. However, just 3 short years later, the future of the World Food Prize was in serious doubt after corporate restructuring ended financial support for the prize. Dr. Borlaug would once again have to find a sponsor. This time, his search led him back to Iowa and toward the formation of a partnership that would forever change the World Food Prize. Noted businessman and philanthropist John Ruan, who, like Dr. Borlaug, was born in a small Iowa town in 1914, had a long-standing vision that Iowa be seen as the agricultural capital of the world. Thus, a resonant chord was struck in Ruan, and in 1990, he announced his intent to bring the prize to Iowa, thereby securing its future. In its new home in Des Moines, the prize would not only survive, but flourish and expand. The World Food Prize laureates hail from countries around the world and have been at the forefront of the single greatest period of food production in all of human history. They are responsible for a diverse array of accomplishments, including dramatically improving rice production in Asia and Africa, the development of quality protein maize in Mexico, the eradication of pests and diseases, promoting and expanding the dairy and seed industries in India, reforming the food policy framework in China and countries in the Middle East, and utilizing methods of microcredit, aquaculture, and humanitarian relief to empower poor rural women. By focusing attention on the accomplishments of the World Food Prize laureates, the hunger crisis was brought to the forefront of the international consciousness. Fulfilling John Ruan's dream, each year the World Food Prize gathers international experts to address critical issues in global food security through its international symposium known as the Borlaug Dialogue. The annual Laureate Award ceremony is a night of celebration to commemorate the advances in the fight against global hunger. Fulfilling Norman Borlaug's vision, world leaders have called the World Food Prize the Nobel Prize for Food and Agriculture. And so, thanks to the remarkable accomplishments of its laureates and the contributions of its founders, what began as one man's idea has grown to become the world's foremost award, recognizing great accomplishments and inspiring even greater achievements in the fight to eradicate hunger in the 21st century.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the World Food Prize, Ambassador Kenneth Quinn.
Ken Quinn retains the title of ambassador from his years as a U.S. ambassador to Cambodia in the 90s.
For social justice is adequate food for all mankind. That's the inscription on the back of the Congressional Gold Medal, presented to the greatest hunger fighter of all time, Dr. Norman Borlaug, who every previous year has been here with us and in this chair. Dr. Borlaug came to Des Moines this week, planned to come here and be with us, but you know, his health has been frail, and he's been weak, and he's been in and out of the hospital, and just tonight, he just didn't feel that he could make it here. But I know he's going to be watching, and so I want to ask all of you to join with me, and let's send him our greetings and best wishes that he feels better. Norm, I think it's safe to say everybody here loves you. There's one other person who is central to the history of the World Food Prize and who also couldn't be here tonight, but is watching at home, and the man who rescued the World Food Prize when it was about to be lost. Please join me in sending our warmest greetings to John and Betty Ruan. John, I don't know if your dad would be comfortable with me saying that I think people love him, being an old trucker that he is, but I think it's safe to say that people love what he's done with the World Food Prize. Lieutenant Governor Judge, leaders of the legislature, thank you for the incomparable honor and privilege of holding our ceremony here in the state capitol. Today's October 16th. It's UN World Food Day around the globe and Dr. Norman Borlaug World Food Prize Day in Iowa. And our goal is to have the World Food Prize week and a long series of events that we have this week to be the most significant observance of World Food Day anywhere around the globe. And we had the Iowa Hunger Summit last Tuesday, the Laureates Forum, that's overflow crowd, and people are still talking, Senator McGovern and Senator Dole, about your wonderful performance and the stories and the humor from last night. Our Borlaug Dialogue, we're in the middle of that, and what an incredible array of lectures and presentations we've had. And the Youth Institute's coming up, but tonight's ceremony is the culmination of all this endeavor with the presentation of our $250,000 prize to our laureates, what the President of Mexico has called the Nobel Prize for Food and Agriculture. And we're privileged and pleased to have here in the chamber tonight representatives of over 65 countries here. And there's one group here that's very special meaning to Dr. Borlaug. And Secretary Schaefer, thank you so much for bringing the Borlaug Fellows here. There's 37 fellows, young agricultural professionals from 18 countries around the world. And please join me in welcoming them here. You know, with our laureates, other World Food Prize laureates who are here, other experts, so many people in this room have fed so many people. I believe that there is more life-saving achievement here in this chamber tonight than any other World Food Day observance anywhere. And I used to say when Dr. Borlaug was here, but of course that's true if Norm's here by himself. So that's and that. So I want to say also welcome to everyone else who's here, all our distinguished guests and our sponsors. I hope you look in the back of the program to see the names of the wonderful people and companies and organizations that help us. And everyone watching out there on Iowa Public Television, thank you so much for bringing this ceremony to thousands and thousands of people around our state. Now, while tonight is a night of celebration, and rightfully so, the World Food Prize is first and foremost about fighting hunger. And a traditional part of the ceremony, to remind us of that, is the reading of a poem by Lucille Morgan Wilson, and who's here with us tonight, and who for 25 years has been a leader of the Des Moines Hunger Hike. And to read this poem, we have somebody very special with us. You know, Iowa has a reputation for being a haven for refugees, and thanks to the leadership of Governor Robert Ray. And Governor Ray, so glad that you and Billy could be here with us tonight. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you... So it's my pleasure now to introduce to you a 10-year-old girl from Sudan who experienced hunger firsthand, but now lives in Des Moines and is in the 4th grade at Greenwood Elementary School. Please welcome Nosa Ali.
In Any Language by Lucille Morgan Wilson. In any language, hunger is an ugly word. There's no music in hunger. There's the rumble of empty stomachs, the monotonous whine of a child wasted with disease, the moan of the mother whose baby lies bloated and still in her arms. Hunger is the leafless din of apathy, bread of weakness, the faded brown and gray of dead leaves after autumn has ended.
As Ambassador Quinn mentioned, 10-year-old Nosa Ali is a fourth grader in Des Moines.
Thank you, Nosa. Thank you. I've been coming and doing this now for about 8 or 9 years, and Lucille, I don't think anybody's ever read your poem with more meaning than at tonight's ceremony. Now, was that human suffering of hungry people that inspired Norman Borlaug in his global odyssey to fight hunger on every continent? Now, thinking he was going to be here tonight during the year, I tried to think of what could we do special to honor Norm. And I was having trouble coming up with it, but I made a trip to Minneapolis, and I met a man named Dr. Alan Levine. And he's the Dean of Food and Agricultural and Natural Resources Science at the University of Minnesota. You know, they got long titles up there. So I'm chatting with him, and we're talking about agriculture, and then he happens to mention that he's also has composed music. And I thought, well, what could be better? Somebody from Norm Borlaug's alma mater composing a musical piece as a tribute to Norm, and wouldn't he be surprised? And so Alan Levine has been working for the past several months. And so I am pleased to welcome Steve Van Ort, the World Food Prize Brass Quintet under the direction of Jim Bovinet, performing for the first time ever anywhere Alan Levine's All Growing Borlaug Wheat.
Norman Ernest Borlaug, agronomist, humanitarian, Nobel laureate, son of the Iowa green fields, father of the Green Revolution. From a one-room schoolhouse near Cresco to the University of Minnesota in St. Paul, from forestry and wrestling to plant pathology, and a critical scientist for the war effort. By the time Norm went to Mexico, he was tough enough to conquer a shifty little enemy that destroys our food crops, stem rust. "16 years, 6,000 wheat crossings. Patique, Pinjamo, Sonora, Lemroja, big seeds, high yield, strong stock, disease resistant, multi-line, semi-dwarf, no stem rust." Shuttle breeding for 2 growing seasons, varieties of mountains and highlands, cultivars for tropics and drylands. The staff of life grows, a hungry world is fed. War, famine, and starvation, a deadly trio. An urgent pleas brought Norm and his wheat to India. The Green Revolution came with him. In 5 years, yields increased by 1/3. In Pakistan, they doubled. In 10 years, both grew their own cereal. Full stomachs yield peaceful people. Next came the Near East, the Middle East, and through rice cultivars, the Far East, Sub-Saharan Africa, as well as Latin America. Then Norway, when Alfred called Norm to his ancestral land. He received the 1970 Nobel Peace Prize because bread brings the hope of peace, because freedom from starvation is a human right, because all the planet's people deserve decent lives. Laureate Borlaug always chose action over talk. You can have a lecture or you can have wheat. He said the Green Revolution has not yet been won. People and food must be in balance. Justice must be won. A nutritious, sustainable food supply for all. Norm founded the World Food Prize to make that so. so that scientists, economists, political leaders, and more might expand through their work on Earth the quantity, quality, and availability of food for all. A humble and grateful nation honors its homegrown one. Norm, you stand for the best in us and as yourself alone. The Presidential Medal of Freedom, we thank you. The National Medal of Science, we thank you. The Congressional Gold Medal, we thank you. Thriving in Mexico, Asia too. India is saved. Pakistan is fed. Don't forget Africa, the Middle East. All growing Borlaug wheat.
All right, this was a tribute to Norman Borlaug. Most Iowans, no doubt, will recognize the tune at the very end. This was narrated by Steve Van Ort. And he also happens to be our announcer, and he's also the mayor of Ankeny, running for the mayor of Ankeny. And, of course, the words sung to the tune of the Iowa Corn Song.
We had a pool in the office that this song would get Norm out of the chair and dancing, because Alan Levine had incorporated Norm's 4 favorite songs in the world. Not necessarily in order of priority: the University of Minnesota hymn, the Texas Aggies fight song, the Iowa Corn Song, and La Spriga, a Mexican song played at the celebration the farmers gave for him when that first crop of miracle wheat produced the miracle yield for them. And it would and will touch his heart when he sees it. So Norm, that was for you. Now I want to share with you a landmark initiative that the World Food Prize has embarked on, also to honor Norman Borlaug. Please watch.
In July 2007, in a stirring ceremony at the U.S. Capitol, Dr. Norman E. Borlaug was presented the Congressional Gold Medal, America's highest civilian honor for his role as the father of the Green Revolution, which saved upwards of 1 billion lives. In all of history, only 5 people have ever received the Congressional Gold Medal, the Nobel Peace Prize, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Dr. Borlaug is one. The other 4 are Nelson Mandela, Elie Wiesel, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Mother Teresa. To preserve Dr. Borlaug's legacy, the World Food Prize Foundation has embarked on a $29.8 million endeavor to restore the century-old Des Moines Public Library building as the Dr. Norman E. Borlaug Hall of Laureates. Situated on the banks of the Des Moines River, the refurbished building will become a centerpiece of the city's reclamation of the riverfront and will honor Dr. Borlaug, the World Food Prize laureates, and Iowa's humanitarian heroes. Open to the public, it will serve as a museum to recognize Dr. Borlaug's achievements, enabling all who visit to learn about the man who has saved more lives than any other person who ever lived. The project will also feature a beautiful garden that will provide an oasis of green in the heart of downtown Des Moines. A design team consisting of Gensler Architecture, RDG Planning and Design, and Hershout Landscape Architecture are laboring to preserve the historic elements of the building while updating it to match the vision and purpose of the World Food Prize. New artistic elements, including stained glass paintings, murals, and statues, will reflect Dr. Borlaug's legacy. Scheduled for completion in 2010, the Hall of Laureates will also serve as the site of the World Food Prize's annual symposium, the Borlaug Dialogue, and as the new home of the World Food Prize Youth Institute, hosting high school students from across America. This historic building was designed in the 19th century and served as a library and cultural center for over 100 years. Now, at the beginning of the 21st century, it will be transformed to serve a new purpose, so that 100 years from now, as we enter the 22nd century, this magnificently restored edifice will still be inspiring the Borlaug-like achievements needed to feed a hungry world.
If you are just joining us, we're live at the Iowa Capitol at the World Food Prize Award ceremony.
Fundraising, thanks to the Iowa Soybean Association. I can tell you tonight we've now gone past the $20 million mark of the 29.8 we estimate is needed. And I want to thank our sponsors and those who have contributed, and particularly our Borlaug legacy donors at the top and who have given $5 million. And thank you to Monsanto for your wonderful contribution. Also to DuPont and Pioneer and in the laureate circle for their contribution. And Senator Harkin, to you and Congressman Boswell, thank you so much for the wonderful assistance and the federal grants that we've received, and we're on our way. And once completed, it's going to be a magnificent tribute to Dr. Borlaug and the site of our annual Borlaug Dialogue and the home of the Youth Institute. Now, the Youth Institute is a special place in Norm's heart. All the honors he's ever received, he'll tell you that young people that he has influenced are his greatest legacy. And one of his dreams was to instill in young students a passion for science and for fighting hunger. And so in 1994, he and John Ruan created the World Food Prize Youth Institute. And while it has, and always will have, a strong base of Iowa students, this year there are over 100 participants from 14 states, as well as from Nigeria, Tanzania, Mexico, and Russia. Please join me in welcoming them. They're up here in the balcony. And we never can forget the teachers who are up here, so thanks to them as well. Now, the Youth Institute is growing significantly thanks to a $2 million grant from the Mateel Foundation. And I believe the Youth Institute is becoming one of the most unique programs in America and indeed the world. So please watch.
I studied microcredit and its effects on rural women in India.
I studied a cattle disease in Ethiopia that is similar to malaria in humans.
I worked at the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center outside Mexico City in Mexico.
I compared the microfinance programs and community development programs at the International Rice Research Institute in Los Baños, Philippines.
I interned at the World Fish Center in Egypt, and I worked with fish and fish farmers.
These are just some of the experiences offered each summer to high school students from Iowa and beyond through the World Food Prize's Borlaug Ruan International Internships. The all-expenses-paid 8-week internship program that places students in leading research centers in Africa, Asia, and Latin America is an extension of the World Food Prize Youth Institute. The Youth Institute is held each October in Des Moines in conjunction with the presentation of the $250,000 World Food Prize and its international symposium known as the Borlaug Dialogue. Students attend the World Food Prize Laureate Award Ceremony and Symposium and participate in an exchange of ideas with agricultural experts, research scientists, and policy leaders from around the world. During the Youth Institute, student participants are given the opportunity to formally interact with recipients of the prestigious World Food Prize and others who have contributed to the global fight against hunger. Each student, with the guidance of a faculty member from their school, is required to present a research paper to a panel of experts on cutting-edge topics regarding global food security. Students receive thoughtful feedback from their peers and distinguished panel members. It was this interaction that World Food Prize founder and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Dr. Norman Borlaug and World Food Prize chairman John Ruan Sr. had in mind when they created the Youth Institute in 1994. Fearing that today's youth had lost a connection to the land and an understanding of where their food comes from, Borlaug and Ruan established the Youth Institute as a way to foster interest in science, food, and agriculture.
Here we're bringing high school students into the academic scientific arena, exposing them in their presentations some aspect of hunger, malnutrition, how it affects not only health, survival, but the role of politics in food.
Since its creation, the World Food Prize Youth Institute has welcomed more than 1,000 Iowa students and teachers, and to fulfill Dr. Borlaug's vision, is now expanding to a national program thanks to the generous support of philanthropist Clay Mathiel and the Mathiel Institute. Foreign students from countries as diverse as Venezuela, Nigeria, and Ukraine also attend. Students who have participated in the Youth Institute are eligible to apply to be Borlaug Wheat International Interns once they enter the 11th and 12th grades. Selected students are given 2-month research assignments in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, where they work alongside some of the brightest minds in agriculture, including World Food Prize laureates Yuan Longping in rural Hunan Province, China, and M.S. Swaminathan in Chennai, India. Inspired by their summer research and cross-cultural experiences, and by the vision of Norman Borlaug, the over 100 alumni of this innovative program have returned from their internships profoundly changed and poised to become the leaders of tomorrow, both at home and abroad.
Now, as you just saw, each year from the Youth Institute, from this group up here, 13 of them are going to go out as Borlaug Wheat interns, spend 8 weeks working at a renowned international agricultural research center in Asia, Africa, Latin America. And each year we proudly recognize the 2 most outstanding of those Borlaug Wheat interns with the John Crystal and the Amundsen Intern Awards. Now, here to present these awards to our Borlaug Wheat interns are the granddaughter and grandson of John Ruan. Please welcome Rachel McLean and John Ruan IV.
The recipient of the 2008 Amundsen Intern Award is from Valley High School and the University of Iowa. She is being honored for excellence in fulfilling her summer research project, which best reflects Mrs. Roberta Green Amundsen's commitment to increasing awareness of world food security problems. She completed her 2007 summer internship at the World Vegetable Center in Shawa, Taiwan. The result of her project earned her the Grand Award in Plant Sciences at the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hamali Batra.
While Hamali Batra gets her picture taken with the award presenters, I can tell you that she attended her first Youth Institute in 2006. In 2007, she was chosen from among 40 to 50 applicants. The award is from Harlan High School and Creighton University. He is a Borlaug Wheat intern whose research has been judged to best reflect the commitment and interest Mr. Crystal had in international understanding and solving pressing world food problems. He performed his Borlaug Wheat internship at the International Center of Insect Physiology and Ecology in Nairobi, Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate Zachary Stewart. Zachary grew up on a farm in Harlan, and he said that he developed an interest in insects during his childhood. At a young age, he even ordered exotic insect larvae to study. He's a sophomore at Creighton.
Each student has to write a paper, and we put them together, and we ask people to read them and help us select them. So I took the book home. I don't vote, but I took the book home, and I started reading Hamali Batra's paper. And I had to start saying which of the laureates I could call up to explain it to me. It was like written by a graduate student or a PhD candidate. They are really exceptional. What happened, these are life-changing events. Now, during the first year of the Youth Institute, there were only 13 students, 13 schools participated. So it's kind of amazing how the program has grown. And that first year, the World Food Prize laureate was Mohammed Yunus from Bangladesh in the Grameen Bank. Later went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And here he is with the whole entire Youth Institute and Dr. Borlaug and John Ruan that year. Well, tonight we have a very special treat in that his daughter, Metropolitan Opera star Monica Yunus is with us. So performing Je veux vivre, I want to live, perhaps the cry of all those hungry students that our two laureates have touched. Please welcome Monica Yunus.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you this evening. Tonight's aria comes from the opera Romeo and Juliet by Charles Gounod. In it, Juliet sings of love and the excitement of all that life has to offer her.
Opera soprano Monica Yunus was accompanied on the piano by George Nitsch. George is originally from Yugoslavia, but he now resides in New York, and his works include recital, concerto, chamber, and vocal coaching work. He and Monica have performed together before, including at an event in honor of Monica's father, Professor Mohammed Yunus.
Monica, don't go for a second. Don't go. Wait. First, that was incredible. You know, in addition to Monica's operatic talents, she's also following in the family tradition of helping others. She co-directs a charitable organization called Sing for Hope. Over 500 professional performing artists volunteer service programs to lend their voices for social change. We know her father is very proud of her for her activism and her magnificent voice. So please join me again in expressing our appreciation. Monica Yunus. The two men we honor tonight have had an enormous impact on feeding hungry children and improving education, especially for young girls. Probably no one knows this better than the executive director of the World Food Program, Josette Sheeran. She wanted to be here tonight with you, but she joins us with this video message from Ghana.
Hello, Des Moines, Iowa. All the way from Boom Boom, Ghana, in northern Ghana, we send greetings from the school feeding program here in Boom Boom and all of these children who look so healthy. Thank you, Senators McGovern and Senator Dole. You are an inspiration to children all over the world with your passion and commitment to ensure that at least every child on earth has a cup of porridge every day. It makes all the difference in the world, and these children's lives are transformed. And so to the World Food Prize, to Norman Borlaug, our hero, and Ambassador Quinn, thank you so much for pulling together this great ceremony and this great event to honor school feeding and the work of Senator McGovern and Senator Dole and the hope they've brought to so many children around the world. So we send our thanks from this village, and all these children will join me now in saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Ready?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Josette. Those of you who remember seeing Josette here a couple of years ago at the World Food Prize, she is terrific at what she does. Now, if you've ever been to the Nobel Prize ceremony, you know the awards are not official without a royal proclamation. Of course, we don't have a king or queen in Iowa, but to make sure we can proceed with our ceremony, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the Lieutenant Governor of Iowa, a great friend of the World Food Prize, to issue the official governor's proclamation. Let us continue. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Patty Judge.
Lieutenant Governor Patty Judge has attended the World Food Prize ceremony in past years, not just as Lieutenant Governor.
On behalf of Governor Culver and myself and the entire Culver Judge administration, I want to extend a warm welcome to all of the visitors here tonight from around the country and around the world, and also to all the Iowans who are watching us tonight on television. And I, too, want to take a moment to thank the Ruan family for all of their hard work and the unwavering support for the World Food Prize. I think it's very fair to say that we would not be here tonight was it not for the support of the Ruans. Their hard work is helping to improve the lives of millions of people around the world. So thank you again, John, to you and your entire family for all that you have done. Thank you. Iowa is truly a state of humanitarian heroes. Herbert Hoover brought food to millions of starving people in Europe at the end of World War I. Henry A. Wallace began to spread agricultural technology around the globe, helping feed millions more. Jessie Field Shambaugh is the woman who started the first agricultural youth program, which later, of course, became 4-H. And George Washington Carver, a former slave, received his education here in Iowa and then went on to produce many great agricultural achievements. But there is one person that will go down as Iowa's and quite possibly the world's greatest humanitarian, and that, of course, is Dr. Norman Borlaug. I had so hoped that Dr. Borlaug would be sitting here beside me tonight. I hope he is listening, and I hope he'll be feeling better soon and be back with us. But thanks to his innovative work, developing high-yield wheat, and leading the Green Revolution. 1 out of every 6 people on this earth, that's 1 billion of the world's population, is alive today because of Norman Borlaug. And as you have heard tonight, as a result of that, he has received numerous accolades and honors, including the Nobel Peace Prize, Presidential Medal of Freedom, Congressional Gold Medal, and stamped on that medal was the following phrase: "The first essential component of social justice is adequate food for all mankind." That idea has inspired Norman Borlaug for his entire working life, and it should inspire all of us today. And so tonight, I think it is very fitting that we gather here in Iowa, where Dr. Borlaug began first to think about the limitless possibilities of agriculture and how it could feed the world, and we gather tonight to honor 2 more great humanitarians. Now, whether you are from the United States or just visiting us here tonight, I am sure that you are aware that we have an election coming up in a few days. I don't know how you could not be aware if you've turned on our television. And there is disagreement among political parties on many issues tonight. But there is one issue that unites them, and that is ending world hunger. Whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican, a man, a woman, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, world hunger is an issue that we can all agree must be addressed. Senator Robert Dole and Senator George McGovern have demonstrated that bipartisan spirit. Though they come from different sides of the political aisle, and I see somehow tonight they are continuing that tradition. Good. They share a passion and a commitment to helping those less fortunate around the globe. Their work today is helping to save the lives of some of the world's most vulnerable, 110 million school-aged children who suffer today from hunger. The McGovern-Dole program gets food directly to children in need, feeding children while opening the schoolhouse doors worldwide. Senator Dole, Senator McGovern, you are great humanitarian leaders, and it is my honor to be able to share this stage with you tonight. And so, it is my pleasure and my privilege to inform everyone here tonight that Governor Culver has signed an official proclamation naming Senators Robert Dole and George McGovern as 2008 World Food Prize laureates. Congratulations, gentlemen, and thank you very much.
Where to? On page 32.
Across the globe, 300 million children go hungry. Many, particularly young girls, do not stay in school, and those who do often lack the energy needed to learn. Their minds cannot be filled with knowledge until their stomachs are filled with nutritious food. A mutual desire to feed the world's hungry children led 2 distinguished United States Senators, George McGovern and Robert Dole, to head a collaborative effort to encourage school feeding programs and enhance nutrition and school attendance. The commitment of Senators McGovern and Dole to combat hunger can be traced to their collective experiences in World War II, in which both men were profoundly impacted by the sight of children starving in the streets.
I think what brought Bob Dole and I together was that we had a common interest in the problems of hungry people. Now, maybe we got that in Italy, watching the hunger that existed then in war-torn Italy.
In addition to shared military service, the lives and careers of George McGovern and Bob Dole have followed similar paths that saw them rise from humble Midwest beginnings to war heroes to the pinnacle of political success. George McGovern was born in 1922 in a small town in South Dakota. A shy child who was often too embarrassed to speak, he found his voice at Dakota Wesleyan University. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, McGovern left school to enlist in the United States Army, where he was trained as a pilot and flew 35 missions during the war. He returned to Dakota Wesleyan, graduated in 1946, and later earned a PhD from Northwestern University. He then set his sights on politics and was elected to the United States House of Representatives in 1956 and to the Senate in 1962, where he served 3 consecutive terms and earned positions on key Senate committees. President John F. Kennedy appointed McGovern as the first director of the U.S. Food for Peace program in 1961. McGovern earned the Democratic nomination for president in 1972, but was defeated in the general election. Continuing his commitment to public service, he then embarked on a new career as a statesman, activist, and professor, and was appointed U.S. ambassador to the UN Food and Agricultural Agencies in Rome. Like McGovern, Bob Dole began his life in the Midwest. Born in 1923 on the plains of Kansas, Dole enlisted in the U.S. Army at the age of 19. Fighting in World War II, he was severely injured by gunfire and was not expected to survive. During his long and painful recovery, he decided to pursue a career in law. While still in law school, Dole ran successfully for state legislature and was soon thereafter elected Russell County Attorney. In 1961, he was elected to the U.S. Congress, where he served 4 terms. In 1966, as Norman Borlaug was confronting India's food crisis, a young Representative Dole was deeply impacted by a congressional trip to see the situation firsthand. Dole was elected to the Senate in 1968 and was soon appointed chairman of the Republican National Committee. His Senate colleagues elected him Senate Majority Leader in 1984. The 12 years he spent as leader of the Republicans made him the longest-serving leader in the party's history. He retired from the Senate in 1996 after winning the Republican nomination for president in an election he ultimately lost. While both men served in the Senate, McGovern and Dole often worked across party lines on hunger and nutrition issues. In the 1970s, they expanded the domestic school lunch program and established the highly successful WIC program, which provides food and education for pregnant and postpartum women, infants, and children.
But if we were going to serve the interests of hungry people in this country, or in other countries, we had to do it on a bipartisan basis.
In perhaps their greatest domestic success, McGovern and Dole worked together to enact sweeping reforms to the U.S. food stamp program by expanding it to millions of people who were either unaware of its availability or unable to afford participation.
If you ask recipients of the food stamp program how it originated and who sort of pushed it along, I don't think they would know, but that's not important. The important thing is that they benefit and they have a better quality of life.
Building on their accomplishments in reforming U.S. food and poverty assistance programs, Senators McGovern and Dole began working in the 1990s toward reviving and strengthening school feeding, nutrition, and education programs throughout Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Eastern Europe. with the ambitious goal of providing a nutritious lunch every day for every hungry child in the world. With the support of President Bill Clinton, a pilot program was funded in 2000 through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which initially provided nutritious meals for children in 38 countries. Congress then passed legislation to establish a permanent international school feeding program. And in 2002, President George W. Bush signed the George McGovern, Robert Dole International Food for Education and Child Nutrition Program into law. Since its inception, the McGovern-Dole program has provided meals to 22 million children in over 40 different countries. In addition to improving nutrition levels and general health, the program has boosted school attendance by an estimated 14% overall, and by 17% for girls.
And if we're going to prepare children to learn, we must feed them.
Children who receive school meals show improved concentration, cognition, and academic performance. Additional benefits of school feeding programs include increased local employment, lower birth rates, and the reduced transmission of HIV and AIDS. The McGovern-Dole program also reignited global commitments to school feeding. More countries began participating as donors for school feeding programs, and school feeding has since been championed by the UN, the G8, and other international development groups as one of the key components of alleviating hunger and poverty worldwide. In addition to cash donations, thousands of tons of food commodities have been distributed to participant countries under the auspices of the McGovern-Dole program. The increased support given to the UN World Food Programme's School Feeding Initiative, the largest of its kind, allowed it to double its operations between 2000 and 2005. By 2006, the WFP's efforts were reaching more than 20 million children in 74 countries. 11 million of these children are in Africa, and over 50% are girls. The benefits of school feeding are especially powerful for girls and young women in overcoming gender inequalities in literacy and education. In many countries where girls are traditionally kept out of school to work in the home, it has been found that when meals and/or take-home rations are available at school, girls are much more likely to be allowed and even encouraged to receive an education. The McGovern-Dole program and other school feeding programs have the potential to finally break the cycle of hunger and poverty. Through collaborative leadership that has encouraged a global commitment to school feeding, Senators McGovern and Dole have enhanced school attendance and nutrition for millions of the world's poorest children. As they continue to strive towards their goal of providing a nutritious school lunch every day for every child in the world, it is most fitting that George McGovern and Robert Dole be recognized as the 2008 World Food Prize laureates.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your 2008 World Food Prize laureates, the Honorable Robert Dole and the Honorable George McGovern.
As the two laureates walk down the aisle, they'll be met by several people already on the stage area, which include Lieutenant Governor Patty Judge, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Ed Schaefer, and the Rwandan Minister of Education, Science, and Technology Research. Also up front are two people who will present the award, Ken Quinn and John Ruan III. Both are founders of the World Food Prize. And John Ruan III is the chairman of the World Food Prize Foundation.
At this time, Ambassador Kenneth Quinn and John Ruan III will present the World Food Prize sculpture by renowned artist Saul Bass to the 2008 laureates in honor of their great contributions to humankind.
It's our great honor to have Her Excellency Defoe Gahakwa, the Minister of Education of Rwanda, and the Secretary of Agriculture, the Honorable Ed Schaefer of the United States, to be here to witness this ceremony. Laureates, the microphone is yours.
I'll go. Oh, that'll help. Well, I speak for both myself and Senator McGovern that we're very honored to be here. See a lot of my friends around. I want to thank the First Lady for being here, Lieutenant Governor, and my good friend Tom Harkin. And we work together on disability issues. So. But it's, I don't know how I got up here. I know how he got up here, but I guess he didn't want him to come up here by himself. And so they asked me to come with him to keep an eye on him. And so I'm deeply honored to be here with my friend for I don't know how many years. We've been working together, not on everything, but on this particular issue. So I'm very honored. I had an hour visit with Mr. Ruan this afternoon, a longtime friend, and he, you know, we were able to communicate, and he knew why we were here, and I did not have the opportunity to visit Dr. Borlaug because he required to leave earlier today. But anyway, it's a great honor, and I've had a chance to meet some of the other prize winners. It was Alfred Nobel who once said, "I would rather take care of the stomachs of the living than the glory of the departed." Well, I'm happy to report that George and I are still among the living and happy to receive the award in person. But I share the sentiment because we all must be concerned. Now, it's not tradition, but I'm only going to speak for about one more minute. In the Senate, once you're recognized, you can speak until you drop. The late Senator Thurman, I think, still holds the record at 23 hours and 20-some minutes. No one recalls what he said, but they recall that it was long. But I've been thinking today about all the people in this audience that have made a difference in the lives of other people. And somebody gave me a little poem called The Dash, and I'm going to conclude my remarks with what I think sort of says it all. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters most is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? for you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand how other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. And if we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Thank you.
Since I'm a little closer to Senator Thurman's age than Bob, I may speak a little longer here today, but I hasten to add it won't be 23 hours. Ambassador Quinn, Dr. Borlaug, who is with us in absentia tonight, and with whom I had a wonderful visit here in Des Moines a couple of days ago, Mr. and Mrs. John Ruan, Catherine Bertini, another laureate who directed the World Food Program brilliantly for a decade, and who named me as the first ambassador on global hunger of the United Nations. I also want to just quickly recognize Senator Tom Harkin, who's here in the front row and has just come through one of the most difficult years of his life, which is shepherding the Farm Bill through the legislature with the help of Congressman Boswell, who is here, and the Secretary of Agriculture, Ed Schaefer. Iowa's First Lady, Mary Culver, over here. I had a good visit with the governor this morning, and we're glad to have the Lieutenant Governor acting in the governor's stead. We also have the State Senate President, Jack Kibbe, and the Iowa Assistant Minority Whip, Senator Dave Johnson, and the Iowa Speaker of the House, Pat Murphy. Thanks for letting us use this beautiful legislative chamber here tonight. I also want to remember my dear friend and longtime colleague, Bob Dole, who helped mightily in opening the way for both of us to receive this very much coveted award, the World Food Prize. And all of you friends who are here in the chamber, as well as those watching on television or listening on radio, this award that Senator Dole and I have received is neither a partisan matter nor a sectarian one, but it is rooted in the deepest political and spiritual ideals of our civilization. In Lincoln's great phrase, it represents the better angels of our nature. I've always wished I had thought of that. All the major religions of the world command their adherents to feed the hungry. That's one theme they have in common. I was raised by my clergyman father as a Methodist. It is said of Methodism that it won't save you from sin, but it will take the fun out of it. But on a more serious note, I want to read a few lines, familiar lines from St. Matthew, and many of you will recognize them. Then shall the king say unto them, Come ye, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Then shall the righteous answer him, Lord, when saw we thee hungry, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in? And the king shall answer, and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, ye have done it unto me. In the spirit of Matthew, I think that Norman Borlaug has kept more people alive in our time than any other human being. He has been especially helpful to the poor and to the weak and to those who hunger. I have no doubt at all that in God's good time, Dr. Borlaug is going to hear the words that I have just spoken, welcome into the kingdom. I think the same will be said of Mr. and Mrs. John Ruland, who have provided the finances that has made so much of this prize and the related activities a possibility. I used to say when the subject of aging came up, it's not so important how long you live, it's what you do with the years that you have. But now that I'm 86, I don't say that anymore. I want to live a long time, and one of the reasons is that I'd like to live long enough to see every hungry school child in the world fed. One thing about this global hunger problem, Bob, that I've always found attractive is that it's one of those problems that's soluble. I'm going to leave it up to Mr. Ruan to figure out how we solve the current financial crisis in the country. But hunger is one that's within our reach, and we can do it in our lifetimes. And that's the purpose of this program that has such a wonderful name, the George McGovern, Robert Dole Food for Education and Nutrition program. We're trying to nurture the minds, the hearts, the bodies of the least among us, the boys, and especially the girls, the little girls growing up in these developing countries who have an especially rough time. My nerve may be stronger than my musical voice, but I've decided to do something very bold here tonight. It's going to seem all the bolder after hearing this marvelous, great soprano that we heard here tonight. But if you can stand a cracked and somewhat shaky baritone, I'd like to sing the first song that my mother taught me as a little boy growing up in South Dakota. And it goes something like this. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children in the world. So bless each one of you and all God's children around the world. To paraphrase in conclusion the late Martin Luther King, if we can free humanity from the curse of hunger, and all it takes is the political and moral will to do that, as Dr. King said, we can then sing the old hymn with new meaning. Free at last, free from hunger, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Thank you.
Once again, Senators Dole and McGovern being honored tonight. You know, they came together to reform the federal food stamp program and expanded the school lunch program.
As they return to their seats, what a wonderful moment. So as you just heard, feeding and providing education to young children and especially young girls has been a special theme of our events tonight and all week. So as a way to say thank you to our two laureates for all that they have done, we'll conclude with a performance of This Little Light of Mine. Each candle you're about to see represents 1 million children who have benefited from our laureates' initiatives and work. So with Jayla Cheeks Lomax and Kaylin Jimenez of Sing for Hope, as well as the girls from the Iowa Youth Chorus, under the direction of Kristen Stanton, once again, Monica Eunice.
And with that dramatic presentation, the 2008 World Food Prize ceremony comes to a close. Be sure to stay with us and join us for the Iowa Journal, which will feature interviews with Robert Dole and George McGovern. This concludes our coverage from the Iowa State Capitol. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lorenzo Sandoval. Thank you.
Funding for the World Food Prize was provided by Friends of Iowa Public Television, the Iowa Public Television Foundation, and generations of families and friends who feel passionate about Iowa public television programming. Partial funding for the production of this program was provided by a grant from the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust.